So in the first part of the lesson, we had discussed about two things, that one is showing courtesy and one is showing no courtesy. So we had also seen that when people show no courtesy towards other people, what can happen? Like that person who entered a lift and not saying please to the lift man triggered his emotions and he kicked that particular other person, the passenger from the lift. So in this particular part, we shall be discussing about the latter. So this does not mean that the damages are negligible. It is probable that the liftman was much more acutely hurt by what he regarded as a slur upon his social standing than he would have been if he had a kick on the shins, for which he could have got a legal redress. So the meaning of this particular entire scene was that the liftman was very acutely hurt, means he was hurt by the person who did not say the words please to him. So the entire scene was about not being regarded with properly. This all had started because someone did not use the words of courtesy. So this was a way of getting out of a legal redress. Redress here means an unfair situation. This was just a way out of the situation. The pain of a kick on the shins soon passes away, but the pain of a wound to our self-respect or our vanity may poison a whole day. So here the kick on the shin means kicking somebody with your force. Okay, kicking somebody, a person might forget that he was kicked by somebody, but the pain of a wound on somebody's self-respect or it may vanity may poison whole day, means if you disrespect somebody, that person his entire day will be ruined. I can imagine that liftman denied the relief of throwing the author of his wound out of the lift, brooding over the insult by the hour, and visiting his wife in the evening as the only way of restoring his equilibrium. So that particular person who was thrown out of the lift, however he could just forget about the things. Okay, instead of brooding over the insult over by the hour, means he kept on crying for about an hour, and maybe afterwards he just forgot it. When he reached home, restoring his equilibrium here means restoring his peace when he returned to home to his wife. For there are few things more catching than bad temper and bad manners. Some things are even more worse than having a bad temper and not doing bad manners. When Sir Anthony Absolute bullied Captain Absolute, the latter went out and bullied his man Fag. So this is like a poison. Okay, this is how this particular poison works. The ill manners. You just pass away your bad temper and bad manners to somebody who is lower than you. Okay, inferior to you. So this is an example where Sir Anthony Absolute bullied Captain Absolute, and he bullied the man who is below him, Fag. Whereupon Fag went out downstairs and kicked the page boy. So this is just an example where one particular person was angry and he felt dejected. Nobody was respecting him, so he got angry on his somebody who's working under him, and that particular person went on to another buddy who's working under him. So this is like a chain. Probably the man who said talk to the liftman was really getting back to his employer, who had not said good morning to him because he himself had been henpecked at breakfast by his wife. So this entire scene had started because that particular person who said only talk to the liftman and not talk please was doing something to him because his wife or one of his employers did not say him good morning to him because he himself had been henpecked at breakfast by his wife. Henpecked here means ill-treated, mistreated by the wife, okay, to that particular husband. So this wife was mistreating her husband, so her husband got angry on that particular person who got angry on the liftman. So to whom the cook had been insolent because the housemaid had answered her back. So this is an entire chain. Somebody is misbehaving with the other person, so the other person is misbehaving with the third person, and the third person is misbehaving with whomever he's getting in contact with. We infect the whole world with our ill humors. So it's like an infection. Bad manners are like infections. We infect the entire world who gets contact with you. So we infect the whole world with our ill humors. Bad manners probably do more to poison the stream of the general life than all the crimes in the calendar. So when you misbehave with somebody, when you show bad manners to somebody, it is adding more what is it, poison to the stream of a general life. In somebody whose life is going well enough, when you misbehave with him, when you show discourtesy towards him, so this particular entire his life changes after that particular person. It is the biggest crime a person can do to somebody else. For one wife who gets a black eye from an otherwise good natured husband, there are 100 who live a life of martyrdom under the shadow of a Morse temper. For one's wife who gets a black eye, black here means somebody's whose wife who's being treated shamefully from an otherwise good natured husband, there are 100 who live a life of martyrdom under the shadow of morose temper. So martyrdom means these people live a life in extended pain because of a ill-tempered person. So there is no what is a tendency of these particular people. They can get angry on anything. But all the same, the law cannot become the guardian of our private manners. It means that somewhere the law or the government or the police or anybody, the system, law system cannot interfere in everybody's private manners. Sometimes you have to solve those matters on your own. So no decalogue could ever cover the vast area of offences, and no court could administer a law which governed our social civilities, our speech, the tilt of our eyebrows, and all our moods and manners. So Decalogue is actually a book of 10 rules in the Bibles, how we should behave. So there is no book which could cover all the offenses, and there is no court who could administer a law which could guide the people to behave properly, to behave in a what is a civilized way socially. So they cannot control our speech, they cannot control our tendency, how our eyes work, eyebrows work. Here means they cannot control how we react, and especially our moods and manners. So there is no control over person. Nobody has ever had any control over the person's etiquettes or manners. This is what we wanted to tell you. But though we are bound to endorse the verdict against the liftman, most people will show sympathy towards the lift person. While it is true that there is no law that compels us to say please, there is a social practice much older and much more sacred than any law which it enjoins us to be civil. So even if we feel that that particular lift person, we have sympathy for both the people, one who was kicked out of the lift and the second one who thinks that he was forced by that particular person who entered the lift to do him so. So we feel sympathy for both the people. But even if that is true, it was just a question of please. There is a social practice much older and much more sacred than any law which enjoins us to be civil. So there is a practice, there is a much older practice which makes us more civil. And what is that? After the first requirement of civility is that we should acknowledge a service, please and thank you are small change with which we pay our ways as social beings. So there are only human beings have this ability of being social. Only we can use these two particular words, the strong words please and thank you, which could trigger a largely a small change. Small change means where we could be that part of the change. Just use these two words, please and thank you. So this makes us as social beings. They are little courtesies by which we keep the machine of life oiled and running sweetly. If the person just learned to say please and thank you, his entire life will be running very smoothly. It works like an oil of life. They put our intercourse upon the basis of a friendly cooperation. So your intercourse with the world, your relation with the world, your communication with the world, your conversation with the world will only work properly if you use these two words. Those are please and thank you. On easy give and take instead of on the basis of superiors dictating to inferiors. So instead of people using their power to on the smaller people, on inferior people, only if you could use the words please and thank you, it would be not just a relation of give and take, but it will be a friendly relation. It is a very vulgar mind that would wish to command where he can have the service for asking and have it with willingness and good feeling instead of resentment. So this is what this particular person is trying to say. It is a very vulgar mind. Vulgar mind means it will be an evil mind, that particular person who thinks that everybody must help him without asking, and he should not thank anybody. So instead of what is a give and take relation, we should have a good feeling in our mind rather than anger. If anybody does not help you, it's okay, but if you're helping anybody, don't expect a thank you from him. Okay, if you are expecting that thank you, that particular person should be also alert that this particular person requires a thank you. So we only use these polite words, please and thank you, the world would be a better place. I should like to feature in this connection my friend, the polite conductor. Now, the what is it? The writer is introducing his connection with his friend. Now he is trying to tell about his friend, the polite conductor. By this discriminating title, I do not intend to suggest a rebuke to the conductors generally. On the contrary, I am disposed to think that there are a few classes of men who come through the ordeal of a very trying calling better than bus conductors do. Now ordeal means difficult or painful experience. Now he's saying that he's not actually what is it, discriminating any particular conductor. He's not saying that all the conductors are polite or only some conductors are polite, but in generally he's talking about the conductors being polite. He says that some of the people are rather polite than usual. This is the only thing. So here and there you will meet an unpleasant specimen who regards the passengers as his natural enemies, as creatures whose chief purpose on the bus is to cheat him, and who can only be kept reasonably honest by a loud voice and an aggressive manner. So we are talking about now this particular incident. The first incident that we discussed was in a lift. Now the second incident which is happening is inside a bus. And here he's just featuring, means he just trying to tell one of the experience of his what is a friend who's a conductor. So he says that when you are traveling by bus, the two enemies who actually travel very politely with each other is the bus conductor and the passengers. So for the conductor, the passengers are like a unpleasant pleasant specimens, means he feels that what is the conductor feels that these are the unpleasant creatures who are his natural enemies, as these creatures whose prime objective or his chief purpose is to only what do you say, cheat the bus conductor, and who can only be kept reasonably honest. Means if you want to stop that particular passengers from cheating, the only way is either using a loud voice or showing aggressive aggression towards them. Now many of us travel to the bus, but we experience many types of conductors. Some conductors are very polite, some are rather rude, some behave rude but are what is a good hearted. So in the similar manner, something changed this point of view of this what is saying conductor, and he's trying to tell his experience. But this type is rarer than it is used to be. I fancy the public owes much to the underground railway company, which also runs the buses, for insisting on a certain standard of civility in its servants and taking care that the standard is observed. So he's saying that such type of what is a specimen, means a conductor being very polite, is very rare. We do not see such kind of conductors. And even if any conductor in the beginning of his career is very polite, but later somehow the poison what is the poison in the mind changes his behavior, but he does find some people around him. He fancies the public that public owes much of the underground railway company. So during the olden times especially, there were both the underground railways as the buses. People preferred to travel both by the buses as the underground railway, but they kindly what is it, showed kindness or showed courtesy towards the railway company, but they what is it, somehow forgot to show this kind of what is it, courtesy towards the what is it, people working for the bus company. So this is what questions him. In doing this, it is not only makes things pleasant for the traveling public, but performs an important social service. So he's saying like people give importance to the underground railway company, people should also give importance to these civil servants who are working as the bus conductor or the driver. If the people start to think in a positive way, then the traveling by the public bus would be a quite an enjoyable trip. It would be a quite a pleasant service. So it is not therefore with any feeling of unfriendliness to the conductors as a class that I pay a tribute to a particular member of that class. So he said that he has never encountered such a person, such a friendly conductor in his entire life, and somewhere he gives a tribute to this particular person, just not this person but the entire class who works in that particular Please, I first became conscious of his existence one day when I jumped on a bus and found that I left home without any money in my pocket. So he came to what do you say? He became conscious that a particular person who's working for the bus company, such as the conductor, exists. Means most of us travel up and down from particular places. Most of us may be traveling from what do you say? Our particular bikes or cars, but maximum people from us must be traveling from the bus. We only come to know about the existence of such people when we actually know to get to know this particular type of people. If the bus conductor is very kind and very loving and is very helpful, we befriend them. But if that particular person is not what to say friendly, we don't even look at that particular people. For us they do not exist. So I first became conscious of his existence one day when I jumped on a bus and found that I had left home without any money in my pocket. So this particular incident in his life showed the existence of the conductor. Now what was that? That the writer had or the author had left his home without any money in his pocket. Everyone has had the experience and knows the feeling. So everyone has gone through this particular feeling that you're traveling from one particular place to other place, and sometimes it happens that you don't have the money. So if you have been in such kind of situation, you know what kind of experience you have. You will have a mixed kind of experience. Means if you think that this particular conductor is very nice, he will what's your drop you where you want to go. But if that particular conductor is very annoying and he's very rude to you, he may drop you in the middle of nowhere. So such kind of feeling and such kind of experience many of us have had. So see, everyone has had the experience and knows the feeling, the mixed feeling which the discovery arouses. You are annoyed because you look like a fool at the best and like a knave at the worst. So he's saying that you are looking as a fool also, means a foolish person, because you left your money at your home. You're very innocent, or you're just trying to cheat that particular person. It can be both the ways. I have seen many a times that people purposely do not carry the money because they know that some where these people are what is it this these people just want to cheat the bus company. But there are actually some what is it people who are in really trouble, where they actually because due to some problem they forget the money, or their what is it purse gets stolen, or they are what's it they lack change. Such kind of things happen. Okay, so you know you would not be at all surprised if the conductor eyed you coldly as much as to say, "Yes, I know that stale old trick." So this can happen. Means it can be both the ways. Either that particular person is really in some kind of problem, or the other person may be really a dishonest person. But when the conductor looks at you with that cold eyed what to say view, and he says, "I know the sale old trick, I know what you're trying to do, you're just trying to play with me, I know you have the money, but purposely you don't want to pay the money." Even if the conductor is a good fellow and lets you down easily, even if what you say you are in both the conditions, maybe you're just playing, you're trying to fool that particular conductor, or you're actually in a big problem, both the things may happen. Okay, if the conductor is a good fellow, he will let you down easily. You are faced with the necessity of going back and the inconvenience perhaps of missing your train or your engagement. So this particular thing can happen with any person. If the conductor is a good fellow, he will just let you down. If the conductor is a rude person, he will let you at that particular place, he will not take you to your destination. So if such things may happen, the what is it, the outcome can be very drastic. Maybe you're missing your train. Means if you're traveling from one place to the another, and the means of transport from traveling can be one place to the another is by bus, and then a latter can be by train or a car. But missing something very important as missing your train or even your engagement, means even something very important can be missed in such kind of foolishness.